In those old movies and those old plays, they spoke in a way that people never spoke, and it's weird, so don't do it. Here's what I'm getting at. You would hear language like, Mr. Johnson, it's so good to be here on the afternoon of your birthday, celebrating the wedding of your daughter on this afternoon on the 15th of March. Said nobody ever. And that's what's always in my head when I see people's videos who go, hey, I'm Joe, I'm an accountant, and I help nonprofits. Yes, that's better than most. However, pique their curiosity, elicit a state of fascination, ask a question as a rhetorical response, and then as well, you can make use of the word imagine, or even better, we can start to make use of persuasive hack number 2. You know your business can change people's lives, but you don't yet have the right words to inspire them to take action. Imagine the changes you will create in your business as you tap into the secrets of ethical influence and positive persuasion to not only better serve your clients, but also to supercharge your financial freedom. I'm your host, Jason Linett, and welcome to the Hypnotic Language Hacks podcast. I help entrepreneurs and business owners just like you to close more premium sales. And no, this isn't about tricking or manipulating people, not at all. It's about helping your prospects to appropriately sell themselves into your products or services. Please hit subscribe and get all the episodes now at jasonlinett.com. I want to begin today with an extremely specific movie reference, which if you've seen the movie The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman, great. If you haven't seen the movie, that's okay too. Stick with me. This will all still make sense to you. Because there's one very classic, memorable scene in that movie. Of course, in the midst of many other very memorable scenes from that old movie. But it's the scene where Dustin Hoffman's character, I believe his name was Benjamin in that movie, he's just recently graduated from college. Thus the name of the movie, The Graduate. And I forget if it's like his uncle or maybe one of his father's friends. Basically, it's a man who's at least twice his age, who looks at the young kid, the young graduate, and says, I've got one word for you. What's that? Plastics. The future is in plastics. And if he was imparting some bit of investment advice or what career path to follow, we'll set that aside. And what does this have to do with hypnotic influence for business? What does this have to do with hypnotic language hacks? Well, I give you that as a setup because very often people ask me, what should I be doing to better drive my business? Hey, I'm having a hard time selling my service at the rate that I know that it's worth. What am I doing wrong? Hey, I'm making use of social media and people aren't responding. What should I be doing? Well, I've got one word for you. Video. The future of your business is video. And in today's episode of Hypnotic Language Hacks, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 persuasive video hacks that sell. These are strategies that I've workshopped inside of my business over the years. These are exact methods that I've shared with my students, the folks in my accelerator program, and they've made use of as well, and they've seen some outstanding results. 4 very simple methods that chances are, with a little bit of focus, you can probably put them into use today. Before we get started today, if you want to easily grab people's attention, naturally build authority, and organically have your prospects wanting more from you, even before you make an offer, I've created a step-by-step strategy to help you to do just that. I call it the Video Influence System. This is your opportunity now to discover my highly effective, entirely free, on-demand workshop at jasonlinett.com. It's specifically for entrepreneurs who want to deliver premium value to their clients to receive premium value in return. If you want a proven framework to boost your confidence and deliver value every time you go on camera, get the Video Influence System now at jasonlinett.com. What if there were 4 very simple strategies? What if there were 4 persuasive hacks that you could apply immediately to nearly any video that you could produce for your business? Whether it's a high production video with multiple cameras and professional lighting and sound, or even if you're just simply turning on your phone and then just talking for a bit, recording something and then using it in your business. What if no matter the quality of the video, provided your sound was good and they could actually hear you, what if there were 4 very simple, easy to implement steps that could immediately have people, 1, compelled to actually watch the thing you've taken the time to produce, and even better, 2, ready to take action upon your content, to reach out to you and make use of your products or services. If you had 4 simple ways to put that to use immediately, think about the changes that would create in your business. Well, guess what, everybody? Please tell the bus driver to stay home, because I'm about to take you to school and share with you those 4 simple steps. And the first one won't be too much of a surprise, because I've already shared it with you. How about that? The first strategy is that of a pattern interrupt. Now, for some of you, this might be a brand new term, but I love words that the definition is basically explained by looking at the words. Pattern interrupt. What are we doing with a pattern interrupt? We're interrupting a pattern. The same way that in marketing, the same way that even in journalism, it's all about having that hook, that message that can grab people's attention, and by doing so, has them wanting more. Because guess what? There's 2 very powerful emotional states. And if you can elicit these 2 emotional states, either one or the other, or in most cases both, in the person watching your video, not that it's a competition, you have won the game of influence. And at this point, I bet you're wondering what those 2 emotions are. Well, again, as it is my style, we're already using them right now. Fascination and curiosity. Give people a reason to stick around for more. And I'll share with you a very simple method of doing this pattern interrupt. Though before that, let me tell you what I encourage you not to do. I encourage you not to just turn on the camera and begin with the sort of bullet point list of all your incredible resume credits. Hi, I'm Joe the accountant. I've been an accountant for 18 years. I work with these types of people. I work with these types of businesses, and already I don't care, even though I love my accountant. No, here's the reason why. We haven't yet given people a reason to stick around. If I can give you one recommendation, and I detail this even further in my video influence system, which you can get for free over at jasonlinett.com, yet it's in that first couple of moments. I want to grab your attention and give you a reason to pique your curiosity, create a state of fascination, and basically put, give you a reason to stick around for more. The easiest way to do that is to simply ask a question. What if there was fill in the blank? And let's give you a few examples applied to various different markets. What if there were a series of techniques you can make use of every morning to keep your diet motivation at its peak, even throughout stressful experiences? I'm not even going to offer what that is right now, because that's not what this podcast is about. But some of you are going, hey, I want that. That shows you it works. What if there was a way to change the way you track your money in your business to ethically reduce your tax payments, but at the same time, have an even higher payment into your retirement accounts to create a more robust future? Again, I'm not even offering these products or services. Those are not generally things that I directly do. Yet what am I doing already? I'm piquing your curiosity, and I'm making you go, hey, I want to hear more about that. What if there was a way to keep your basement completely dry even during the hot, humid summer months? I actually bought a dehumidifier this summer for that exact reason. So by grabbing people's attention, the moment the video begins, your task is to win their attention. Recognize in different platforms, if it's on social media, if it's on YouTube, even if it's a podcast, the job is to grab people's attention and give them a reason to stick around for more. So this is where you'll see in my video influence system the reason why I tend to delay my introduction. I delay that introduction because I want to give you a reason to care about what I'm about to share with you. And only then, once I've created that rapport, once I've set up that promise, only then, hi, I'm Jason Linett, and then it goes into the actual delivery process. You could ask a question. Let me give you another alternative, which is a magic one word, which is really the shortened version of another series of 4 words. Because I don't think you would say in your business, once upon a time. But then again, you might be involved with children's books and literature, in which case, by all means, please use that phrase. Keep it up. It works. It stood the test of time. However, what is the one-word version of once upon a time? It's one simple phrase, imagine. So I could say to you, and let's apply this to other businesses, let's say Imagine there you are at your 10-year wedding anniversary, and perhaps there you are with your kids and family members looking through the photos and noticing how each and every photo tells an incredible story. Hi, and there's the introduction. How about that? So the opportunity, again, to grab people's attention, have them in a state of fascination and curiosity if you do one thing immediately. Anytime you go on video, begin with a pattern interrupt. Grab their attention, give them some sort of promised expectation that's going to pique their curiosity, that's going to have them appropriately hungry for more. It's where if you listen back to episode number 2, I shared a little bit more of my backstory. And I'm going to go oddly specific. I know I've already dropped the Dustin Hoffman, The Graduate reference, yet I worked a lot in professional theater in the early 2000s. Not as an actor, but as somebody behind the scenes. I wasn't the designer, I was in production management. So you see this beautiful thing on stage, and I was kind of the wizard behind the curtain back in the day, calling the cues, organizing the scene changes, the part that kind of rips the art out of the process. Wow, that was beautiful. And that was 12 lighting cues on a sheet of paper for me, that if I didn't call them at the right time, someone might have died. The joy of moving scenery. I give you that as a background because, and I'm going to probably grab about 5 of you with this very specific reference, if you go back and watch really old movies, or even better, really old plays, whether it's something by Anton Chekhov, like Three Sisters, or maybe it's some Noel Coward play like Blithe Spirit, or even things that are a little bit more, I want to say, why am I about to say that? Arsenic and Old Lace is modern. They made a movie of that as well. In those old movies and those old plays, they spoke in a way that people never spoke, and it's weird, so don't do it. Here's what I'm getting at. You would hear language like, Mr. Johnson, it's so good to be here on the afternoon of your birthday, celebrating the wedding of your daughter on this afternoon on the 15th of March. Said nobody ever. And that's what's always in my head when I see people's videos who go, hey, I'm Joe, I'm an accountant, and I help nonprofits. Yes, that's better than most. However, pique their curiosity, elicit a state of fascination, ask a question as a rhetorical response, and then as well, you can make use of the word imagine, or even better, we can start to make use of persuasive hack number 2, which is to make benefit of story. The benefit, as I'd say, of show rather than tell. We can sweep people into an experience. So think about perhaps nearly any action movie you've seen in the last 10 to 15, 20 or so years. Most of these action movies, whether it's maybe the 114 Avengers movies they've now made, whether it's the different Superman or Batman or whatever movies, typically they don't begin in an office. They don't begin with paperwork. Even if it's some sort of true crime movie, you're swept up into the experience. So this is another version of a pattern interrupt, though I separate them because you can do the pattern interrupt and then launch into a story. Bring people into something. Bring people into something of quality. And by doing so, again, now they're in their head going, what's going on? Who are the players in the story? Maybe you're telling some sort of narrative of a client of yours who had a specific problem, and now you're leading towards the result. And even before you've made a sales offer, here's what's beautiful about this, by the way. Even before you've made a sales offer, people are smart. People are realizing they're watching a video from a business or on a sales page of a website, or maybe it's on a social channel and it's, again, sponsored by a business. It might even be an ad. This stuff works whether it's free, whether it's paid. The side benefit of paid is that you can put it directly in front of the people you know you want it to go to if you're optimizing the ad campaign right. So the use of story starts to bring people in, and there's a really cool neurological thing that often happens where people start to self-identify with the players in the story. People start to get swept up into the experience. There's something, dare I say, very hypnotic and persuasive and influential about stories. So by making use of that story after your pattern interrupt, we still yet haven't perhaps even introduced ourselves, though you might, depending on your personal choices and how you want to do it. Which actually reminds me of a student of mine who years ago, she produced a bunch of videos. In one of our sessions together, in terms of our business consulting, she set the goal that she goes, I'm going to go off, let's take 2 weeks, and I'm going to produce about 20 videos. She had about 20 individual pages on her website, and they were everything from like blog posts to individual service pages based on the different aspects of her specific set of skills. And she went off and she did these videos and she sent them over to me, and I could tell from the language in her email and the text she was sending me to go, hey, check your email. I sent you the link. All the videos are there. She had not yet put them on her website. I could already tell she was so excited for me to see the work that she had done. And as soon as I started to watch the videos, I realized there was a fatal flaw that she had made in making these videos. She wasn't being herself. And yes, perhaps because I was her mentor in this situation, she did something kind of funny. I want you to kind of imagine for a moment whatever stereotype you would have of the sort of Midwestern mother who's maybe in her late 40s, early 50s, and the kids are now off to college, and she's leaving behind a career as a middle school teacher, and now she's going into business as a therapist. And now imagine this character in your mind that you've now created speaking exactly like I speak. I've got a bit of an interesting cadence towards how I speak. A friend of mine one time ruined me by sending an audio of Max Brooks, Mel Brooks' son, and he goes, listen to this. You'll figure it out. And I go, look at that. Same rhythms and such. But the experience, cool guy though, but the experience of she made these videos and they weren't her. So we talked for a bit, and she was kind of breaking out of a shell. To give you more of her story, she was breaking out of a shell of, I am now the school teacher in a very conservative private school, and I'm holding onto this character when she goes, I just want to sit down with people and go, hey, what do you want to change? What do you want to be different? So I gave her a bit of a pattern interrupt to not put on her video. But for those of you that might be struggling with video, test this out, see what happens. I asked her, not that I want you to say the word. Not that I want you to say the word. Though if I asked you to imagine what the most offensive word in all of profanity might be, what would that be? You don't have to say it out loud. Do you have it in mind? She goes, yeah. I go, okay, just out of my curiosity, like what letter does it begin with? And let your filthy imaginations fill in the details. She goes, well, it's actually two words. One's an M, one's an F. I go, enough said. Here's what I'd like you to do. Set up your camera, look over your content, look over your notes, and then, provided you're in a space where no one will hear you, yell that word and just laugh at it. Then turn on the camera and start filming. Well, she actually took that advice. What did it do? It actually broke through all that nervousness. It made her just relax. And it may not be a strategy for you, but the videos were now all about her. And she was using these same formulas. Hey, are you sick and tired of feeling sick and tired? Was one of her introductions. And she said it as herself, and it was gorgeous, and it worked so well for her business and continues to work even in newer content that she creates. Which, by the way, did you see what I just did there? I broke out of the teaching to actually then inject a story. And the story did my favorite formula. It showed rather than told. Show versus tell. Rather than just stand here and say, make sure the videos are you. Don't try to put on something that you're not. Don't hide behind the royal we. We can help you with this. We can help you with that if it's just you, which there's nothing wrong with. I mean, my business, I've got a lot of people who help with video and graphics, editing and all that such, yet really, it's me. So I can help you with this. This is always my languaging in the video. She broke that old nasty pattern, and by doing so, made use of her own, rather obscene, pattern interrupt, and that helped her just to let loose and just be real with people, just to have a conversation. And to this date, I've asked her, has that word ever made its way into your videos or your therapy sessions? She goes, oh, of course not. But you know what? I do it every single time. Hey, we found a pattern interrupt to break her out of that shell. Take from that whatever you wish. But the story illustrated the fact that the video then, as it was showcasing her, as it was creating a relationship, a bond between her and the person watching the content, the benefit now became it continued to work for her business, and even in videos she's now producing, continues to generate new business week after week, year after year. So remember when I hinted that videos work? Well, that story clearly illustrated that without just, sort of bashing you over the head with the simple statement. We can say it directly. We can also reinforce it indirectly. This is a principle out of hypnotic language patterns. If it's the hypnotist or even the hypnotherapist working towards a personal change, they may say to their client, as I would, you are now a non-smoker, and you're going to be a non-smoker for the rest of your life. That's a very direct, extremely literal statement. However, at the same time, we can reinforce, or to use the hypnotic languaging here, we can now compound the same suggestion by a story, or perhaps even by way of metaphor, to imagine a beautiful house, a house that's perhaps in the woods. And the interesting thing is that even though this house is safe, it hasn't been kept up in quite some time. As you can imagine, going inside of that house, and the walls are dirty. They're covered in a thick soot. The windows are frosted over with dirt and grime. And just imagine this moment now to open up those windows. And notice how good it feels to let that fresh air in. And as that fresh air just wafts in and out of that space, how you can imagine now the walls are becoming more and more clean, the windows becoming crystal clear. And very clearly, I'm talking through metaphor. I'm talking through a theoretical made-up story to illustrate the premise of what's also happening in that experience. So bring people into the room, bring people into something. So let's recap. Begin with that pattern interrupt, elicit fascination and curiosity, bring them into the experience, and then you could introduce yourself or delay the introduction and then make use of a story, whatever sequencing you want to use. Though again, the video influence system at jasonlinett.com will give you a proven framework to do that each and every time with even more strategies beyond what I'm sharing with you here. Let's keep going here, which is that now make sure your video always has a call to action. Ooh, look at that. 5 persuasive hacks, as we've already called this 4, but let's keep with 4 because that's what I've already told the editors. Yay, the joy of a listicle. It's not an article. It's not a list. It's a listicle. Check out that sorcery. So always make sure there's a call to action. Tell people what step to take next, even if it's subscribe to my YouTube channel, even if it's subscribe to my podcast. Follow me on Instagram. Go to this website and get this thing. Always give a call to action. Hey, that's a bonus. That one's on me. So our third persuasive hack for video is one that may require a little bit more technical skill, though in a lot of cases now you can do this on mobile. You can even do this even easier with softwares like Photoshop, or I use Canva quite a bit in my business, and we'll put the references to these tools over in the show notes at jasonlinett.com. This is episode number 10, jasonlinett.com/10. Canva's great, really affordable. I use it at least every week. Even with a full-time designer on my staff, I still go to Canva for quick and dirty projects, because here's the theme of persuasive hack number 3. Meme your videos. Meme your videos. So what I'm referring to, let's go back to where this all began. There's the chubby cat sitting in the picture, and it says, I can has cheeseburger, which then let loose an incredible new social media and cultural phenomenon of the meme, the picture with the words on it. And these things have now become so standard. Even if we share a funny GIF in certain terms of an email or even a text message or a Facebook message or even on Instagram or wherever, they're all over Reddit. The power of the GIF, or more importantly, when there's the words on the screen that say something really funny. Well, we don't have to necessarily go for humor here, because what I'm getting at is just like an email. When you send an email, your email has a headline. That can be a pattern interrupt as well. Oh, do you see what we're doing there? I know we're talking about video, but we're dropping knowledge bombs all around email marketing as well as calls to action, so much stuff. All this stuff is universal. Apply this to the other parts of your business as well. Do so. So what I'm getting at is that with an email, the subject line is an opportunity for a pattern interrupt to grab their attention. And do this right now. Or somewhere else later if you're driving right now or exercising. Keep it up. 2 more. Feel the burn. You're doing great. There you go. That one's on me. The experience is that if you look at your phone, if you look at your emails, it also usually gives you a second headline, a second place to grab people's attention, which is usually the first line of text of the body of the email. What I'm getting at here is that look at the nature of most videos that are online. Most videos are just a picture which that's not yet enough to hook them unless there's something interesting in the picture, in the foreground. That being said, if you do a little bit of a recon search online of different videos of mine, here's a little fun fact that we discovered. If my video editors go in and find like the most professionally posed image of me, we find that one screenshot of a video where I'm smiling and I'm perfectly in focus and everything looks good, and we use that as the screenshot for the video, that kind of works. And unfortunately, to the strike of my own personal vanity, if we find the clip where I'm very clearly in the middle of a word or making a weird gesture, and very clearly there's some bit of action to the video where it looks like it's in the midst of something, and maybe I don't look as good as I could, to say it politely, that gets the clicks even faster. So yes, part of my own success are the number of ugly screen grabs of my face on the web. There you go. So it's where if it looks perfect, there's a thing, let's go deep dive on this reference. In the magic world, in terms of professional magicians, there's a theory of the too perfect premise. That if something is too perfect, it doesn't quite line up. This is where, for those of you with any issues around public speaking, we're not always perfect. We say the wrong words. Even the people you think are dynamic speakers will stutter a phrase, have to repeat something, or just say the wrong word, and just keep rolling on as if no one noticed. But you noticed. Relax. People love things that are human. And so basically, the more human that screen grab of the video is, here's the next step though. Whether you plug it into Canva, whether you plug it into Photoshop, whether you go to Fiverr or Upwork, or you just, in my outsourcing terminology, hire a nerd to go in and put the language there for you. It's where if you're using YouTube, you can upload a custom screen grab. If you're a Facebook business page, when you upload a video, you can pick the specific image. I believe as part of IGTV, if you're uploading a video, which has to be in a different format, you can isolate exactly where on the image it is, as well as what frame it might show as the first preview. And there's all sorts of nuances to this depending on where it goes. On a website, whether you're hosting on like YouTube, or let's get technical here for a second, which is that there's different video hosting softwares that are out there. There's Vimeo, there's Wistia. Most of these platforms will let you upload a specific image to be the sort of static image before the person hits play on the video. The play button. Be mindful about where the play button is. Just to nerd out for a quick second here, the lower quarter is taken up by Vimeo by their player controls. Meanwhile, with like YouTube, you're losing the top maybe 1/5 in the center. I like using Wistia for my sales pages in my business because I get the big old purple button right in the middle, and I've got more control over the analytics. Whatever one's within your budget, that's not what this week is about. I just want to give you that as a reference. Be mindful around the play button and the words and framework of the player, because now put, I would say, between 3, maybe 1, 2, 3, no more than rough numbers here. And again, never, ever, ever use absolutes. Never use absolutes in your communication, which, yeah, that was an absolute. A few words to really grab their attention, whether it's an interesting phrase, an interesting statement, or perhaps, again, some other form of pattern interrupt. So here's what happens. Maybe they're scrolling through mobile, or maybe they're looking at their computer. They're on your website now. And I want you to always inject the cynical question in your own internal dialogue as you look at your own business and marketing materials of, so what? So what? There's a video on your page. So what? Well, by using the meme text on top of the video, that is selling them on the click so that now they're actually going to watch it. So let's recap here. Pattern interrupt, show rather than tell, basically make use of stories. You can then meme your video, so be mindful of the fact that so often it's going to share a screen grab, unless it's on some social channels where the video begins to automatically play. This is why it's a popular thing, and we do this, to put the transcription on the video on that thing. That's a great strategy as well. It kind of serves the same purpose, which brings us to the fourth and final persuasive hack: share with context. You know, again, the cynical question I already shared with you. So what? This is where we can use a very simple sales writing formula to then sell people on why they should watch the video. If you want to reduce your debt and create incredible savings, please watch this video. There you go. If you fill in the blank, then please watch this video, which, by the way, use this in a lot of other places in your business. If you're struggling with staying consistent on exercise program, please download this checklist. If you X, then Y. It's a very simple strategy. I teach that in terms of my hypnotic sales writing formulas. This is a simple method of bullet points. If you this, then that. It's a great headline formula as well. So 7 ways to do this. Click here to learn more. You know, we see that all the time online, and I'll say it simply. Why do we keep seeing that kind of languaging? Because it works. So share it with a context. If you want to hear more stories about how people can lose weight given this diet plan, please watch this video. Videos, again, back to show and tell. It's a great way to deal with possible objections before they even arise. I do, in the hypnosis community, I do a training program that at first glance, people would think, oh, that's just for someone brand new. Though I realized in that specific program, most of my audience were people who had been trained elsewhere. And now they were realizing there were gaps in their education, and they were coming to me to build better hypnotic, change methods in terms of systems for working with their client, consistently getting those results. So in that world, I recognized one of the challenges was some people would go, oh, but that's just a certification course. I've already done that. So what was the hook that I used to sell on the click? The video meme said, already trained in hypnosis? ? That was enough to pique their curiosity. The headline above it read, if you've already been trained and certified and you're not yet getting the results you want to see with your clients, please watch this video. There's a great example of share with context. I had an accountant that I worked with that does a bit of a consulting service on top of his actual bookkeeping and tax prep, and was having a bit of a challenge influencing people to actually sign up for this consulting service. No, I just want you to do the books. Well, if you want to understand how to maximize the benefit of your accounting to keep even more of your money and reduce unnecessary tax payments, please watch this quick tour of my fill-in-the-blank service. Now people were watching it. Now they were signing up for his program. Otherwise, what was the question I shared with you a while ago? So what? They didn't yet know that they needed it. So let's recap and bring this all home. Pattern interrupt, grab their attention. Show rather than tell, use stories to illustrate your teaching points. Meme the video, put a title on it, whether you do that yourself, there's some cool free tools out there, or just pay someone else to do that, or even share with context. For more like this, I've got my entire video influence system at jasonlinett.com, but do this. You'll find on the website our free public Facebook community. Join that, post one of your videos. That's where we'll give you some commentary and feedback on it to take what you've done from good to great. You have been listening to the Hypnotic Language Hacks podcast with Jason Linett. Please stop everything and start exploring jasonlinett.com for even more business influence and persuasion resources. Make it a priority right now to subscribe to this program and listen to every episode, because the next one may reveal that one hypnotic influence secret to massively scale your success. Change your words, change your business, change your life. Get even more at jasonlinett.com.